Hey everybody, I hope you're all doing good. If you frequently watch videos that have to do with music or piano, you've probably come across an ad from this guy.
If you have an hour this week, you can learn 100 songs.
Most of you probably thought, wow, what an annoying man that is. Many of you probably thought, wow, this seems like a scam. And if you did think that, I'm here to tell you, you were right. But it goes a lot deeper than just being a scam, because if you buy his course, it turns out there's a pretty good chance your money will be funneled right into the Church of Scientology. But I'll talk about that later. First, who is this guy?
My name is Stephen Ridley.
I'll spare you guys the rest. Anyway, Stephen is the creator of the Ridley Method, which is a revolutionary and innovative way to learn to become a piano master like him in a matter of months, while only practicing for 3 minutes a day. And it costs $2,997. Stephen tries to make himself look like a virtuoso pianist who knows what he's talking about by loudly playing fast arpeggios and fast blues scales while making pretentious faces and exaggerated movements. To the untrained observer, it may look like he is playing something complicated, but in reality his playing is pretty mediocre. Of course, there isn't anything wrong with playing this way, for most people, but when you're claiming you're a concert pianist and using this to sell a scam course, then it becomes a little dishonest. Okay, but what actually makes the course a scam, I hear you ask? Well, there are several big problems with the Ridley Method. The first is how he markets it. He makes traditional music education sound way harder and way more painful than it actually is, and then provides his course as an alternative.
And eventually the teacher's going to stand up and hit you with a ruler.
As someone who has extensive experience with traditional music education, I can say that none of what he says about it is true. His first claim is that it takes 15 years to learn piano the traditional way.
And it's 15 years.
Which is, it's ridiculous. It's totally possible to get to a level where you sound pretty decent in about a year with normal piano lessons, and in 5 years you'll be pretty advanced. If you want to become a master of the instrument, well then, thinking about it in terms of years isn't really the right mindset anyway. At that point, it's more of a lifetime commitment. His second claim is that you'll have to practice for 4 hours a day with traditional music education.
It's 4 hours of practice every day.
Now, I think I'm pretty good at piano. I have never practiced for 4 hours a day in my life, ever. His third claim is that music is taught in Latin.
It's still taught in Latin, which no one understands.
I'm not sure where he's getting this from, but I have never been taught anything in Latin, and I don't know anyone else who has either. Sometimes we have Italian words written in our sheet music like ritardando for slow down or crescendo for get louder, but I don't think anyone has a hard time with that. The second big problem is the content of the course itself. Stephen says it works by breaking down every element of piano playing into easily understandable concepts and then building those up one by one. On the surface, this sounds great. In fact, this is how piano is already taught by pretty much every teacher. The difference is that Stephen's course is not actually easier to understand. From his free masterclass, which is basically just a long ad for his paid course, we can see that he takes pre-existing piano or theory concepts and explains them in a more confusing way. For example, his explanation of chord extensions, which he tries to make look simple, but if you actually try to follow his advice on it, you'll see that from a beginner's perspective, it makes no sense at all.
Simply add more notes.
He also has some dumb gimmicks like his finger exercises he calls hand yoga, which won't actually do anything to help your piano playing. Another big thing he talks about is the 4-chord concept. Basically, hundreds of songs use the same 4 chords, so by learning those 4 chords, you can play hundreds of songs. This, of course, is true, but the way he shows it in his ads is a blatant ripoff of the 4-chord song by the Axis of Awesome.
Just 4?
Yeah, these 4, here. 1, 2, 3, 4 chords.
On top of all that, every single thing he teaches is already available online, for free, taught in a much more effective way. There are a huge amount of people on YouTube and all over the internet who have made some great resources for learning piano. I've linked some of them in the description. But the most important thing is that it is completely impossible to become a piano master in a matter of months with only 3 minutes of practice a day. No one has ever done that. And this goes for any high-level skill. There's no easy way out of anything like this, and anyone who tells you there is lying to you. But the hard work that needs to go into it is exactly what makes it worth doing, because if no effort was required to become a good pianist or good at anything else, there would be nothing special about it, and it wouldn't even be an impressive skill. So, if you want to learn piano and you have $2,997 to spend, let's figure out how many real lessons you could get from a real teacher with that money. Let's say an expensive teacher is $60 an hour. If you have weekly hour-long lessons, you can study piano for at least a year for $3,000, and this is an infinitely better deal than Stephen's course. If you want to learn online, you could buy a cheaper course, but I would just suggest using the huge amount of free information that's out there. Now, the Scientology. Stephen Ridley has stated that he is a Scientologist multiple times. Scientology is a huge topic that I can't fully cover in this video, obviously, but for those who don't know much about it, the Church of Scientology is a cult founded in 1953 by L. Ron Hubbard. They have many strange beliefs, one of which is that 75 million years ago, an interplanetary alien ruler named Xenu transported millions of aliens to Earth and then killed them with hydrogen bombs. This is a huge oversimplification of just one of their beliefs, but it does show that they are absolutely insane. They have also been accused of a lot of wrongdoing and criminal activity, including human trafficking and covering up various kinds of abuse. Scientology members have to pay huge amounts of money to the church in order to get the required training to advance up the levels, so it is very likely Stephen Ridley is giving money to this terrible organization. So if his course being a scam wasn't bad enough, a good amount of the money people are paying for it is most likely going towards supporting the Church of Scientology. Anyway, that's pretty much all I've got to say, and I pretty much just made this video because I was really sick of his scam ads and figured someone should say something about it, and I had no idea there would be anything this crazy behind it. Hopefully this video will be helpful, and hopefully you will not buy Stephen Ridley's course.